I am humbled by your introduction. Thank you.
Well, in addition to all the things that you've already accomplished, you are an elevated listener. You're someone who really cares about listening to other people. And I think it's really important to spotlight that. So, before we talk about the listening piece, Diann, you've accomplished so much as an author, the accolades, the awards. You've done so much in addition to that as a teacher, as an actress. You're a mother, you're a wife, you just, it goes on and on and on and on. So I'm just going to spotlight you and tell us a little bit more about your background.
Sure, I'll be happy to. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, for having me. I I'm have done all those things that you just said, from being a classroom educator all the way up to training teachers how to use technology when it was brand new in the world. And so I was able to be mentored by some of the best people, starting with the Steve Jobs team. So how blessed is that? And listening is such an important skill. And I find that what you're doing with the listening and helping people become better listeners is incredible, Dr. Jacalyn. So I know that wasn't part of what you stated, but I wanted to just throw that out there. I worked very, very hard for many years to finally be published. And so I'm very proud that I now have several children's books out, and my first young adult historical fiction book is out as well. And also, my very first short story for Christmas is out with a group of other authors. So that's all very exciting. And it's funny. It's people said, look, the hardest thing is to finally get published, but once you do, it's just going to be rolling. And they were right. So I'm glad.
Yay!
It was just a long journey.
You stayed on the journey, you stayed on the path, and you got to the other side. And I think that that's, it's so important. We say it over and over again on this platform, but don't give up, because you could be one moment away from accomplishing whatever it is that you set out. And sometimes people just get disheartened, they get disparaged. And I think a lot of that has to do with, Diann, it's that people don't feel like they're being listened to. So do you remember a time in your life, maybe it was really something significant that stands out for you, that you felt like somebody just wasn't listening and you really needed them to?
I can think of so many times, but I remember one time when I was in fourth grade, and I have five brothers, and my, of course, being what my parents called me, the princess, was lovely, but being a Texas girl, sports is everything. And my mom and dad, and I don't think ever missed a game. And we were lucky because the way the neighborhood was set up for baseball anyway, because of the ages of my brothers, my parents could just rotate from different games. And if any of them turned out to be at the same time, they would just swap and take turns so they wouldn't miss anybody's game, which was kind of cool. The good part about that for me was I was kind of in the background. And I remember once one of my brothers went, "How did you learn all that stuff?" I go, "Because nobody's paying attention to me, so I could do what I wanted." So anyway, hope you're laughing at that. But there was a time
Yes.
there was a time I came to my dad. Well, I told mom, I said, "Mama, my feet hurt. I think I need new shoes." And those were the days that you didn't buy a million shoes like kids do today. You had your dress shoes, your play shoes, and your church shoes were your dress shoes. So your school shoes, your church shoes, and your play shoes. And my feet were hurting. And mama said, "Well, you need to go talk to your daddy because we need to work that into the budget." And I remember going into the room. Daddy was sitting there reading, and I said, "Daddy, la 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 la," and he's like, "Well, honey, okay, yeah, you tell your feet to get over that because your brother needs cleats." And I just walked out of there going, "I don't think he understood me, mommy." And that made a huge impression on me. And I'm sure my dad would be very embarrassed if he heard me tell that story, because how he probably meant it was not the way I took it. But I knew at that moment, I said to myself, I'm never going to marry somebody unless they can afford to buy my kids shoes when they need them.
Sorry, that's a great story.
And so I'd be dating guys, and I was like, "Do you like sports?" And they would say yes, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'm not going to date you." And then, and then, you know, I could date somebody that, he they may not be wanting to really discover what makes them tick. And I was like, man, if they don't want to do that, they're not going to be able to afford those shoes. Yeah, I'm not going to date them. That's how much it made an impression on me. All the way
It all
back.
goes down to the shoes.
Yes, it goes down to the shoes.
No, that makes a lot of sense because you remember how you felt, and so you didn't want your kids to feel that way. So, yeah,
That's right.
that's a great example.
And it also shows you, like, I could share things, you know, being in the classroom, teaching, working with parents, which I'm happy to. But I think it's important for your listeners to know that how kids internalize things when you're speaking to them can be a lot different than you think it's going to be. So think about how the child is going to hear what your words are and be selective in your wording.
Very true, very true. I'll share a personal story, which I'll probably regret later. But I was always trying to get approval. I was always trying to get way to go, and I would get, "That's great, but it's a shame you didn't do it this way," or
Oh my gosh.
you know what I mean? And then the rest of your life, you're out chasing for how to get the next thing this certain special way and to get that acknowledgement. And so I was always about getting gold stars because the gold stars would be like, yes, I finally did it right. And then it wasn't until that long ago, like maybe a year ago, I thought, this is ridiculous. The only gold star I need is right here. It's right in here. But it's a lot of things that we hear from growing up that really stay with us.
That's so true. And it's interesting that you share that. And I would think even today this is happening all the time, even at the moment as we speak, it's happening somewhere. And I can remember wanting to be in the reading group that was the red group instead of the yellow group. And the red birds, they were like the elite of the classroom, and things like that. And even though now as an educator, I understand where they were coming from, still the child is seeing it as a failure. And so that's tough. And also I can remember my brother's extremely talented in sports. Oh my goodness, so good. But if they happened to lose a baseball game, you didn't want to ride home with my dad. you because mom and daddy would be two different cars because they all worked different hours. And it's like you wanted to ride home with mom because if you got in the car with daddy was going to say, if so and so would have done such and such, then this would have happened, and la 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 la. So he was the coach. He never sat in the stands. He stood out in the very back so he could coach the kids to tell them what to
do. I can just picture it now.
I think you probably need to take your courses.
And you bring up a good point. So you were a child, and you're still a child, but you're a parent also. I've never been a parent, so you see things full circle, and you see how the messages that we convey, that children are listening. They're listening all the time. They're absorbing like a sponge, and so we have to be so careful. Diann, I want to just talk a little bit about listening as an adult. And you are an excellent listener anyway, but you took the courses, The Power of Listening. And when you went into the courses, did you think there was anything for you to learn, or did you think, because you already are a great listener?
Absolutely. I thought, okay, I'm going to be very supportive of Dr. Jacalyn, and I already know I'm a good listener, but what the heck, right? And the very first thing out of the chute, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not a good listener. And it was.
Now, wait, what made you think that? What made you think that?
Because I was already second guessing what I was going to say. before the person even finished what they were going to, what their explanation of whatever was bothering them in those little course groups where they, I loved what you put together, you know, the interaction of the two people, the acting. And I was just like, yeah, they need to be doing this, you know. And my head I was already starting to turn to stop listening because I already knew the answer, and so I wanted them to shut up. And reality was, I needed to listen, and you know, that course was amazing for me. Actually, the courses, because even now I want to take another course if you have one, because um, even I'm so blessed to be a co-host with you, but I find now that I'm listening even more intently instead of trying to second guess what I'm going to say, because they've said something interesting, and I'm like, oh, I know, but it isn't about what I need to say; it's about them, and it has, I think, made me a more effective co-host. I would like to think, as well as a listener. So, yay! I think everyone should take
Absolutely.
these classes.
Spot on. By the way, we have a comment. Hi, Luke. Nice to see you. Good morning, wherever you are. We have good afternoon here, good evening. Uh, Welcome from all over the world. Yes, you know, something that you said, by the way, I really want to touch on this is, first of all, interviewing and being a co host is challenging in many ways. And the reason that it's challenging is that we're giving a platform for people to come and share their story, but we're also running a production, and there's certain things that have to be done. And what I found specifically today, for example, I'm not running the sponsorships that I'm supposed to be running because I'm so engaged with what the people are saying. And because I am so focused, like I really do think I'm a good listener. I don't want to cut anyone off. But at the same time, I'm not doing the work I'm supposed to be doing because it follows a certain format. So it does get to be, you know, it's work. So for you as a co-host, I have to say that you are excellent, because there have definitely been people who have been here who are making it visibly obvious that they're not listening to the guest, and also that they don't agree with what the guest has to say. And so I'm getting messages like, oh, can we get this person off the show? You know, no, this is, we're not judging what people are saying.
Right, right. No, no. And just because we may not agree with them doesn't mean what we think is the right thing either. So,
Exactly. And that's the whole point of what I'm trying to make about listening. It's that we're not judging what someone else has to say. We're not judging whether we're pro vaccine and they're not, whether we're Republican or Democrat, or we believe in climate. You know, we don't, it doesn't matter. We're here to give people a space to share their story. And so you do it so well. So I thank you. I know sometimes we feel like we're over crossing each other, but that happens. It's a
yeah,
live show.
yeah. And I think that is great for the listeners to see, because they know we're very much engaged, as well as the person we're interviewing. Because I know if I'm being interviewed and all of a sudden there's this lull, I'm like, oh, I don't think they really listened to me. Hello, did you zone out on me? Cut to commercial.
Right, right. I know it's definitely true.
Yeah,
Something else I want to talk about in terms of listening, because I think if we talk about interviewing and co-hosting, that could be a whole other show, because there is an art to being a good guest. There's also an art to being a good interviewer, and so we could go on and on about that. But when we talk about listening and we talk about learning more. Okay, what I find is, for me, even today, is that when I'm very tired, or it's the end, like I've been broadcasting this week, and at 6 o'clock I'll be finished, I'm going to be very tired. If someone were to reach out to me with something very serious that they want to talk about, I'm not going to be able to listen completely, because I'm just mentally checked out. And so I have to be okay with saying, hey, mom, I really can't, you know, or hey, whomever, I need an hour or two to get myself in a different frame of mind. And that's okay. What are your
mhm.
thoughts about it, Diann?
No, I agree completely, and I think that's a skill that we learn over time. But yeah, you have to get re-energized. I know the other day I had been I'm behind on getting some things done for my publisher, and so I finally had just some time where I could just get into the zone and be in the 1920s and think about how they speak and so forth. And so I did like 4 hours of just blah, 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 you know, it was just, I was very blessed, like the angels were telling me what to write. But when I was finished, I was exhausted, and people were like, okay, now you ready to go do something? And I was just like, wait a minute, I just got to get back into this time period. I can't think.
Right, right. I know. It's interesting. You know, it's something else I think, and I want to have your comments on this as well. So I'm not in an environment where I'm around other people, right? I'm just
Mhm.
around my mom, and I'm with this computer. And then when I get into a situation where I'm around other people, I feel it's very stressful because everyone's talking at the same time, talking over one another, yelling from room to room. And it's kind of like it's a different kind of
Stimulus.
environment. Yeah, it's stimulus, exactly. So you've been out and about, and you've been in a number of situations where people are talking, I guess, at the same time. Or how do you handle it now that you have this confidence about the fact that you are an excellent listener?
Thank you. I wonder if my kids would agree with that. But they'd be thinking of other moments in life. But yeah, well, for me personally, I need a lot of noise sometimes. Sometimes I need it totally quiet when I'm like really trying to figure out a sound that I need to make within a story. But for the most part, I need noise going on because I grew up with five brothers. So I'm so used to the yelling and the screaming. And it was a real adjustment when my husband and I got married, because I was like, this house is just too quiet for me. I mean, and I can't listen to music because then I'm going to start singing or I'm going to want to dance. And so fast forwarding to now and the noise, if I'm at a family gathering, I actually get a lot of energy from all that. If it's people screaming at each other and being mean to each other, then I have to get out of that environment because I don't like to be around negativity. um, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of what goes on in my brain.
Yeah, it definitely does. So I think it also depends on the environment and what you're used to, what you've grown up with. So you're used to being around a lot of people, so that you kind of feed off of that. It sounds like the energy in the room.
Exactly. So, like at Thanksgiving, generally there's around 32 people with children running in and out, and I'm just like, oh. And so
I'd be
usually,
like, ah.
and usually you're going to find me over by the swing set and playing with the kids and running with them or hitting the little ball and making sure everyone's having fun. That's me. I'll be with the kids more than the adults. So they'll tell you.
Aw,
Yeah.
that's so nice. So when you are listening to children, do you find try to find the right word. I don't want to say more. I was going to say more rewarding than listening to adults, but that's not what I want to say. It's
I know.
is it okay?
Was that as a children's well, as an elementary school teacher in the classroom, even though I did other things besides that, with kids, being around young children, they're so innocent, and when they speak the truth. They're not trying to impress anybody. It's just the way it is. And I love that innocence and honesty. And if they go, Aunt Diann, you need to go put your eyelashes back on. Your eyes aren't that big today.
Out of the mouths of babes. I love it.
And you just like, okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Diann, why do you have freckles today? I didn't see them yesterday.
And how do you answer these questions or these comments?
I go, it's called makeup, darling. They go, oh, okay, well, go get it.
By the way, quick segue from Katrina, your friend that you've introduced me to. We now have a show. She was saying that people who are not wearing makeup, they think they're doing themselves a favor, but it's actually a disservice. I'm paraphrasing. Hopefully, I'm getting it right.
I hear that.
Yes, because the more things you have on your skin, the more it's protected.
And I was shocked to hear that because I try really hard during the week not to wear makeup to let my skin breathe, but I put on all the moisturizer and everything. So I was like, huh, interesting. So I guess the secret is to, I'm so sorry, I thought I had it on silent. I think the secret must be really into making sure you wash your face really well. So
Yes, I think
yeah.
that's
So
key. And I think that kind of segue back over to listening. I think that it's you can be authentic as a listener if you're fully present and you have no hidden agenda. There's nothing that you are trying to get from the other person. There's nothing you're trying to make the other person do. You're just there, sort of like a naked face without makeup. You're just there authentically to listen.
I'm so glad you said that because that's so true. And I think about when before I took your classes, and I think about when I was a mom and kids were going through different things, and I wish I would have had these skills. I probably would have been a better mom. So you always say I'm going to start crying because your kids are trying to tell you things, and you're listening to them, but you're like, by God, I know this is the way it's going to be, and this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do that, and you think you're being a good parent, but I needed to step back and just let them get it all out and then talk or speak with them and figure things out. And I will say, as a parent, that I think my husband and I were very good about overall listening to the kids and letting them share and and help work out together how to fix things. To make them work within whatever it is, cleaning the room or raking the leaves, because we were very much into making sure that the kids had jobs to do, because we didn't want them to think life was not about jobs. If you needed to rake the leaves, you're part of the family. Let's make things happen. And then maybe there are times they really didn't want to rake the leaves, and you're like, oh yes, you are. So anyway, I'm going to make sure they take classes on listening skills, so maybe they won't make some of the mistakes I made.
Wow, that's so authentic, Diann. I just love that. And I think you hit on something else is when I was going to school, whatever degree I was getting, there was no course on listening.
Yeah, no. And as a teacher,
No,
we should be taking these classes, right?
exactly. Because
Yeah.
again, I just think if we are listening without judging, without solving, then there's going to be more peace in the world.
Absolutely. And, you know, um, to give a little hint, if you don't mind, for the new book, and I just learned the release date, December 1st, and it's called A Song of Peace. And in it, a little soundbite: the angels are sleeping because they are so sick of the adults not listening. And it took a little boy and something that happens that goes viral, that the angels wake up because they realize that the leaders and the adults are ready for peace. And it all has to do with listening. And I didn't even know you were going to have this course when I wrote this story.
That's amazing, Diann. And I remember when you asked me if I would do a quick little recording for that. So and that wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. So yeah, this one publisher, Texas Sister Press, really wanted that story, and so I had it released from another publisher, and they grabbed it. We found an artist who's amazing, and I mean, like within 4 weeks, we have this book ready to go.
See that? Yay! So in one case, it took you what, 6 years to write Rise,
Yes, but that
and
was a
now
lot of studying.
we're turning things around in a month now. It's amazing.
Well, historical fiction and children's books are two different things.
Yes, but see, you're talented in so many different areas, and you don't let things stop you. And I think you alluded to the fact that you're trying to get certain things done, and I think that successful people have to figure out how to get things done, how to manage their time, when to listen, how to listen, and how to spend the time that you have. So I just really appreciate the fact that you spend this time with me every week with the shows that we do, and you're here today on the Listening Mentor show. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're quite welcome. And I do hope you have even the next level of elevated listeners, because truthfully, all honesty, with everyone that's listening, from just the beginner, even if you think you don't need it, we all need it. And I would love to see you have courses for teachers and parents and so forth. It'd be pretty powerful for all of us.
Well, thank you, Diann. I'm actually working on that. And
Oh,
we do
good.
have, yes, and we do have another course coming up, and you've signed up for it already, which is great. Except we've moved it to January. I forget what the
Oh,
date is. So
January. Okay.
yeah, so I'll let you know about that. Also, I think this is something you might be interested in. It has to do with listening as well. We have a new show coming out. I'm meeting with Madeline Chan, who's my voice coach. She's also a singer-songwriter, award-winning. And we're going to have a live show. I'm going to be the first guest, where Madeline gives us a voice lesson on this platform. And so anybody who's interested in hearing their voice, because what I learned was that we have masculine and feminine energy, and that this comes through our voice. And what Madeline shared with me, as I hope I'm getting this right, is that there's a lot of masculine energy coming out, but there's very little feminine. And it's actually true. So when you think about singing, I'm more of an alto. And if I try to sing the higher, it's hard for me to get there. And I think that's because I'm so in my masculine energy all the time.
That's fascinating to put it that way, because as you know, I sing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never thought about that from a masculine and feminine standpoint, which makes total sense to me. How exciting to do that, because to sing, it's all about listening. And then after, and listening in so many different ways, listening to how do you round and get that roundness, and maybe sometimes you need the more the nasal, so you're going to do something else with your diaphragm to make that all happen. And that's just really exciting. And she's an amazing woman anyway, and so
She surely
it's going to be
is.
a great show. And her performance, wow, watching one of your commercials with her singing, it made me want to go dance. And so, yeah, and then, the thing about acting and singing or any of that, when you're a storyteller in any of those genres, you want the audience to be a good listener. But if you can't convey it and look truthful in your delivery, then they're never going to hear you.
You're never going to get that following and that connection. And I'm glad that you just brought that up, because we're actually going to play one of Madeline's clips. We're going to watch a video. It's called Follow Love. I've got two of them here. I just love this Follow Love, especially on a Friday. Let's take a look and we'll be right back. So just for people who are just joining, I see some people on YouTube. So this new show that we're going to have is Madeline Chan. She is a vocal coach. She's an international award-winning singer, songwriter, and she's going to do a live voice lesson on the show. And so whether you are an accomplished singer and you just want to connect with Madeline even, or you want to work on your breathing, we're going to offer that. And I'm going to be the first guest. So we'll have a good laugh. Let's take a look at her song, Follow Love.
By your love, what you giving me is just not enough. I need a love to take me higher and higher and higher. Every step I take, I feel more awake. Getting closer now, I feel so alive. Stopping me, this is how I live. Ever closer now. Just follow love. Love will take you there. Just follow love. Follow me. Just follow love. Love will take you there.
I meant to ask her, is the woman in the white top who goes like this, is that Madeline or is that somebody else?
I thought it was her.
I thought it was her too, but I wasn't sure.
I have to ask.
Yeah, she's so talented. And we actually have a listening course with her. You took that, Diann, the power of listening, the connection of your breath and your voice and listening skills. So that was a fun one to put together. And we've got 2 more from that. So, woo!
And so I have a question for you, if I may.
Sure.
So for our listeners, if they, listen to this new, what are you going to call this?
I don't know. Madeline and I are meeting on Monday to come up with a name for the show.
Okay, everyone, you're going to hear it soon. But when y'all come up with it and you start doing it, people will be able to hire her privately also?
Exactly. Yes. In fact, that's a great question. Thank you. So here's her information. I put it into the comments. It's www.madeline- or minus, depending on where you are in the world, chan.com. And she is giving people a discount if they sign up for vocal lessons. You just have to mention Dr. Jacalyn. So thanks. That's a great question. So I've taken, I think I've taken 4 voice lessons. And we're supposed to meet every week. And it's my fault. I put it on hold because it actually takes work. It takes effort to rehearse a song. And sometimes I'm so in the masculine energy, I don't have it in me to be that creative side. And I realize that.
So when you practice singing, and how we hear ourselves isn't how the other person hears you. So if you really want to know how you sound for her, put your hands over your like this, and then you'll have the sound that you want to make.
Okay, thank you. That's a very good tip.
Yeah,
that's a very good tip. I'm excited. So, so I'll be getting together with her Monday. We'll figure things out, and then the ultimate goal is for me to write my own song. And that's apparently going to be happening after my 10th voice lesson. So,
yay! The power of listening through voice.
Yes, exactly. So,
and I know this is all about listening, but also you just had Tony Moore on, right?
Yes.
And if people, oh my goodness gracious, if you want to hear a great storytelling with his new song. And then I didn't realize that Nat King Cole had wrote Route 66, but Tony Moore has brought just new life and energy into it. And so it's pretty incredible. And the only reason I would go ahead and share that with you for your listeners is that the story that he's selling or telling you in each one of those songs, and that's what I love about singing, is so powerful. And Dr. Jacalyn, music really connects all of us. Like we could be mad, but we go and listen to a song, and it can just re-change our whole feeling and so forth. And I think Tony Moore has the ability to bring a lot of light with his music.
I agree with you. And as I mentioned on the show, I think I mentioned it. Yes, he sent it to me in advance, right after he wrote it. It wasn't produced yet, and he sent it to me on Messenger, and I just started crying. It was
right. I know. I
crying.
Heard it. Yeah,
it's so beautiful. And something else about listening, Diann, and music is there are certain songs. Some of them. Music's been around forever, but there's certain songs in my life that remind me of someone that I can't listen to because I don't have the time to. I shouldn't say I don't have the time. I don't want to open something that I shut down a long time ago. So I think to myself, I can't listen to that right now because it reminds me of X, Y, and Z. So I put on something else. Is that normal?
Yes, very much so. So White Christmas, my daddy could sing like Bing Crosby, just so beautiful. And every single Christmas he sang White Christmas. And then of course Mama, she had a gorgeous voice. And anyway, there's certain songs at Christmas time for a long time I couldn't listen to, especially White Christmas. It took almost 10 years after Daddy had passed before I could finally not break down and cry. And like you said, those wounds are are so deep, and so personal that you don't want to go there, so.
Yes. Yeah, really good point. And it's also interesting, as a coach, we help people to set up an action plan to move forward. It's different than being a therapist, but it's also, I've had enough therapy in my life as well, that you have to deal with things, right? You can't just keep them locked down. But at the
No.
same time, there's only so much time in the day to do what you need to do, as opposed to reflecting on how you felt when you were 10. You can't, I don't feel like you can keep going back, because then you can't go forward.
No, you can't. And again, Tony Moore, people did not pay me to say this, but I thought he made a very good point on your show, that in his closing remarks, to live in the moment, because you don't know what's coming next. And yes, we need to look at different things so we can improve, but that's still living in the moment, because you're looking how to move forward. And now, from now on, I'm going to think of him like this. For me, Elvis Presley will always be the king of rock and roll. The world has also, of course, named that. And he's on Elvis, as soon as I get in the car, Sirius XM, here we are, right? So Tony's going to have to get one of those channels. But so when he said that he wanted to be, or think about being, the guitar god, I thought, okay, that works. Elvis can be the king of rock and roll, and Tony can be the guitar god.
I'm going to put up the cover from his single. This is Tony Moore, and we just had him on a special event. So if you missed it, you can actually go to our YouTube channel, especially those of you there. I see you on YouTube. Just go to, after the show now, we don't want you leaving us here, but just go over to the playlist for special events, and you'll be able to watch the show with Tony. And by the way, this jacket that he's wearing, Diann, I looked it up. Let me see if I can find it. It's John, how do you say that name? John Varvatos? Here, John Varvatos. So this is a very famous designer.
Oh,
in New York. But he got the jacket at the equivalent of TJ Maxx. I think they call it TG Maxx over there.
Oh, okay. And the hat. Do y'all have a Buc-ee's up there yet?
No.
Okay, I'll get you one. Buc-ee's is incredible.
Is that where that hat was from?
It looked like a Buc-ee's hat, but he's in England, right? So.
Right. But he's been over here. He's got a lot of friends here. He used to play with a group called Iron Maiden, which I think, if anybody has information about Iron Maiden, I don't know if they were here in the States or they were in the UK. Mm-hmm. But he certainly has played with people from the US.
Okay. Well, to me, it's a Buc-ee's hat. So Buc-ee's, not that, they should be our sponsor after I say all this.
Yes.
They have like 122 stations for your gas, to stop in for your gas.
What?
And then depending on the city you're in, they find out what homemade goods are to support the town. And so if you're in Brownsville, Texas, they might specialize in some of the German foods, right? And they'll sell that. They have the certain things that are the same everywhere, the barbecue sandwich and so forth, but they really try to, wherever they're located, to have things to support the local economy. And so they're pretty powerful. But I took an Australian friend to have a Buc-ee's experience, and there's no guns or anything in Australia, right? And so I'm a Texas girl, and so she almost had a heart attack. She kept taking pictures of these T-shirts. Come and take it,
So they have that you can purchase guns there?
No. But they have T-shirts that come and take it with a gun or whatever. And she's like, I'm going to show this to a friend. This is just horrible.
It is amazing. Different cultures, different, experiences as we go around the world. And you certainly are a world traveler. So you know so much more than I could ever know about that. But
it goes to listening again to the point of your show is that how a person in New Zealand, Australia might see things. And Australians are very much like Texans, just we can do it type of attitude. But because their laws don't allow guns and so forth, and I'm not sure if I'm saying it completely right. So if anyone's listening from Australia, please correct me. But you need to just be a good listener. You don't turn around and go, well, you guys are just totally stupid, because that's not true. There's a lot of positive things about that. So I think you have to respect and people from different cultures, different places within our own country, and listen, so that maybe some things could be accomplished, and you don't
I agree.
get on all that.
And something else I want to say is that we have people from all over the world who are on this platform, and they have different accents, and some accents are very strong. And, I've had some people say, well, I don't understand what they're saying. And I say, well, why don't you try to listen? Why don't you, instead of thinking, people get frustrated. What are they saying? Just take a deep breath and just listen, and you'll get it. It's just,
yeah.
So, Diann, I want to end the show with us playing Tony Moore's video for his new song, Never Gonna Say Goodbye. And we'll have a quick chat about it right after. Okay. All right, folks, this is it. It was released today. And this is Tony Moore, singer-songwriter from the UK. Let's take a look at Never Gonna Say Goodbye. So emotional. I mean, it's a song that evokes emotion. It's amazing. He wrote that, he sang that, he performed in that, and he produced it. And he wrote it in an hour. In 1 hour, he wrote that song. And everything that you see is in his one room on his green screen. So there's no pianos, there's no bikes, there's no teddy bear, there's nothing. He created the whole thing, which is amazing. I've put up the link for anybody who's interested in knowing more about Tony Moore's music, and it's great to listen to. I think it's very emotional, very thought-provoking. It's the link for people on the radio is https://linktree, which is linktr.ee/Tony Moore Music, TonyMoore Music. Diann, I want to thank you for being here, and thank you for listening. Thank you for being an authentic listener. Thank you for listening with your heart. And I really appreciate having this time with you today.
Thank you. Same here. And I hope the rest of your day is filled with love.
Thank you. I wish the same thing for you. Folks, we're leaving now, and coming up in 6 minutes is Pet Psychic Amina and our guest, Corky Whitaker. She's a hypnotherapist. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. Diann, I'll see you next week.
Okay, take care. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.